Welcome to the National Fostering Group podcast. We have with us today Gill, who sits as a panel advisor for the National Fostering Group. What is that role, Gill? Tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about that role.
As you say, I am Gill, and I am a panel advisor, and I've been doing social work in fostering for over 30 years now.
Wow.
And because of that, I know quite a lot about fostering. I've worked with young people as their social worker. I've done assessments myself for people wanting to be foster carers. And I now sit as a panel advisor because I know quite a lot of information about fostering and the process and also all the legal bits and pieces and the policies around it. And that's what the panel advisor does. So we sit on the panel and we're not part of making the decisions or any recommendations, but we're there to give the panel members any guidance they need about fostering policies and regulations, because all the panel members are independent and they're not all social workers.
Okay, let's strip it back. Let's just jump back one section. What does the panel do? For people listening to this who are maybe just flicked on a podcast, very early days, interested in possibly fostering, what does this mystery panel of people do?
What is the panel? I think the first thing to know is, well done you if you've made it as far as panel, because to become a foster carer is quite a complicated process, so you think. But we're there to sort it all out and guide you through it. And panel is the penultimate part before you are approved as a foster carer. So if you've made it to panel, you've been on some training, you've met the agency you're going to work with, you've had a social worker come and do the assessment with you, and you've had the report written, the assessment report. And at the point of panel, all the panel members have read your report and they meet together and come up with a recommendation. And it should be, yes, we would really like you to be a foster carer. You are a suitable person to be a foster carer. That's why you've reached that point. And there's only one more step to go after that, and that's the decision maker. The decision maker makes the final decision. But at panel, it's a real celebration of the fact that you've reached that far, that your assessing social worker feels that you are a suitable person to be a foster carer, and you've reached that point. So when you come to panel, that's the bit where the regulations say all foster carers in the country, no matter who you're going to foster for, have to come to a panel. And that's just to make sure that the process is fair. And that at the end of the day, we're asking you to look after very vulnerable children. Yeah. So it's really important that we get the right people to be foster carers. Yeah. So there's lots of standards that have to be met, minimum standards and so on. And your report comes together to show that there's lots of evidence that you are going to be a suitable person to be a foster carer. And all the panel members have to sit there, having not met you, and read the report. It's important you come to panel so that foster carers can see you come to life. You jump off the page, that you are a real life person, not just what they've read in the report. But they are basing their recommendation mostly on what's written on the report. So people shouldn't worry about how they come across, because it can feel, it's quite intimidating to go to something like a panel. And there will be a few people there. There's about 6 or 7 people there on the screen. Ours is a virtual panel. So you will be at your agency that you're going to support to foster with. So you might, for example, be fostering with one of the NFG agencies, such as J or Sunflower or Fostering Solutions. And you'll go to their office. You'll know them already because you've met the social workers, you've met the team there, and you've done some training there. Yep. So on the day of panel, you go to their office. And they'll welcome you and say, "Oh, this is exciting. You've got to panel. It's the panel day. How exciting." And they'll give you a nice drink and so on. And then you'll go into probably a sort of a reasonable size room, and there'll be a screen on the wall, and they'll settle you down and so on. And the panel members will have already met and had a think about what they've read in your report.
Yeah.
and then you'll pop up on the screen. So I'm one of the people there. My face will be there, unfortunately, on the screen as well. And the panel chair will say, "Welcome, Tim and Wendy," or "Wendy and Amy," or whoever you are. "Welcome to panel. I'm the panel chair." And we'll introduce everybody on panel. So there'll be, like I say, 6 or 7 faces. And then they'll say, "We've had an opportunity to read your report, and we've just got a couple of questions for you." I'll say, "Hi, I'm panel advisor, and I'm here just to make sure panel have got all the information they need to make a recommendation today." I'll put my camera off at that point, so you've got less people on the screen.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. Yeah, less
and
intimidate.
then you've got an administrator who takes the minutes, because it's quite a formal meeting. It's set out in law that we have to have this meeting, so it is quite formal. There's a minute taker. They'll say, "Hi, I'm going to take your minutes today," and they'll put their camera off as well. So you've suddenly got 2 less people on the screen. Then you'll have the other panel members that are left, and they're the people who are going to make the recommendation today. And they'll ask you to introduce yourself, and you'll be sitting there with your assessing social worker or a supervising social worker from the agency. And the panel chair will say, "Oh, we've read your report and thank you very much for that." And they do have a few standard questions. And one of the questions you might be asked is something like, "How did you find the assessment?"
Yeah.
"What did you think of the training course?"
How honest are people with things like that?
It's important to be really honest, because we want to see you. We want to see the real you. There's no trick questions. There's no, you're not going to suddenly say something that you really shouldn't. You've got this far in the process.
Sure.
You've been in the process for 4 months or more at this point. Your assessing social worker knows you well. The team knows you well. We need to see the best you on the day. But be honest.
So the panel want to hear from you just as much as you're there for the formalities. If you like.
So absolutely, that's a really good question, Tim. Actually, because one of the panel's role is to make sure that the agencies are running the whole process well. We want it to be a really positive experience for people applying to foster. So we want to make sure that it has been a positive experience. So if it hasn't, actually, it's quite important that you say, "Oh, well, actually, I thought this wasn't going to run like this, and I'm quite surprised." And when we'd say, I have to say, that's an interesting question, because nobody has said anything. But most of the time, people are genuinely saying, "Oh, the Foundation to Fostering course was really interesting." And one of the things they really like is meeting experienced foster carers.
Yeah.
So throughout the process and on panel as well, I think it's important for people to know that panel members are also made up of foster carers from other agencies, and also young people who've been fostered themselves. So they sit on panel. And it's a quality assurance role as well. So we want to make sure that it has been a really positive experience, and the panel day itself should be a really positive experience for someone. So we are genuinely interested to hear how it went, and constantly looking for ways to improve. And afterwards, you get sent a little form and asked to fill that in. How was your experience on the day? But I'm very proud to say that we have not dropped from a good.
Well, there we go.
We've been either
10
good
out
or
of 10, Gill.
good or excellent feedback from people who've come to panel, which I think's really something we're really proud for, and something we really strive for.
I should imagine, you're sat there as a potential, you're going to be fostering and you're going to be working with this organisation, but to have people who have been fosterers, who have been fostered, foster carers, that would just put your mind at rest. You're with like-minded people, essentially, aren't you? And people who have lived experience.
Yeah, it is really important that the people who are on panel are really from the fostering world.
Yeah.
So when they read your report, they know what they're looking for. They're looking for all the strengths and experiences that you're going to bring to the role. And, don't be worried that you're going to be asked a tricky question on the day, or, "Oh, there's been some aspects of my life that have been a bit more complicated."
Yeah.
Panel aren't looking for the perfect person because that would be odd, because there is no such thing
Or
as
to
the
trip you
perfect
up,
person.
essentially.
They really don't want to trip you up. And actually, if there has been more complex areas in people's lives, that can really enhance how they are as foster carers, how empathic they are, how
100%.
patient, how understanding they are of what some of the difficulties that children have been through that need to be fostered. So that can really enhance that. And if there has been something particularly tricky, your assessing social worker will have already discussed that with you in your report and in the visits they do to you and written up about it.
Yeah.
Panel members have already read about it. They're not really interested in that on the day. That's been covered.
That was going to be my next question. The qualities or values, two big words, I guess, do you look for in someone applying and going through this process and is sat in front of a panel, people who want to be foster carers? What are those qualities?
Do you know what? I think they're quite basic in some respects. Kindness, being caring, being empathic, being patient and calm. And then you've got your other ones. One of my favourites is stickability. Can you stick with children through thick and thin? It can be a little bit of a roller coaster fostering, but that's really important that you can stick with children.
Yeah.
Can you make children feel welcome and safe in your own home? Can you make sure that children are safe, happy and healthy in your home? And you have a good sense of humour. Having a good sense of humour is really important, and helping children to learn new skills through play and having fun is one of the best things you can do. As a foster carer, there is another side of it, which is a bit of a professional role as well.
Yeah.
So you do have to go to meetings. So you have to be able to talk in meetings confidently, but it's fine because you're talking about the child that you've developed an attachment with and who you've grown to know, and you're there advocating for that child. So you're there in a meeting talking about someone that you know.
Yeah, you're flying the flag for them, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And your positive contribution to that is really important. So you'll have meetings with schools or with their child's social worker, and that's just to make sure the child's getting as much support that they need in their lives, and that you are getting the support you need as a foster carer as well to be able to support that child. You have to be willing to learn. So there's lots of training to be done, lots of opportunities to train. So you have to be really sort of happy to engage in the training that's going on. The agencies like to put on lots of fun activities for families who foster and the children they foster. So being happy and able and willing to go and engage in those activities will enhance your role as a foster carer and ultimately make that whole experience really positive.
And I guess it's like you said, that authenticity to be able to laugh at situations and your self-development and all of those great qualities, but also to probably admit sometimes as well, like the process of being a parent, a foster carer, a helping hand in someone's life is never perfect.
No,
things
definitely.
go wrong, things don't work out, things can be funny, things can be sad, like these. This is life, isn't it? It's real life.
Absolutely, it is life. And it comes with challenges. And that, as you say, as a parent, it would as well. And in effect, I like to think of fostering a bit like being a professional parent. There's the parenting bit as a foster carer, and there's also the bit where you're really advocating for that child in professional settings as well. There's a little bit of recording and report writing that you might have to do. Certainly writing up on a day-to-day basis how things are going is really important because that forms part of that child's life story. And the child might come back to that in the future and think, oh, what happened then when I was growing up, when I was with that foster family? How did that go? And I want to look back on my records. So your recording ability to do that. But we have all sorts of tech now to support people with that as well, if that's not an area of strength. And that's one of the things that the foster panel's there for as well, is to make sure that if there are any challenges that you think you might face as a foster carer, that the agencies are going to support you. So they might make a recommendation, for example, like, it's going to be really important that the foster carer receives training in trauma because in their current lives, they've never had that experience. So we'd recommend that that you have training around trauma and attachment in your first year as fostering, or
I was listening to a podcast a while back about a chap who had been fostered. I think he was in his 30s, possibly early 40s. And he said he very recently in his life read back those
I think
notes.
I might have listened to that same podcast.
Yeah, and it was fascinating to even think of
Yeah,
that. And he found it quite a
yeah.
therapeutic process for his development and
yeah.
understanding of
Absolutely.
himself more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if it's a similar one, or I might have heard a similar one, he was talking about how so many people come into his life. So when you're a child who's being fostered, you have social workers and all sorts of different people. There's health people and education people. And actually, that's reflected on panel membership as well.
Yeah.
So we can have people from health and education on the panel as well. So it's people that really understand about fostering and can see how you're going, draw on the strengths you've already got. If you're a teacher, for example, you'll have lots of transferable skills. If you've been in health, if you're a nurse, or if you've just been a carer yourself for other people in your personal life, people are on the panel that can really see the relevant skills that you've got and experience and what you can bring to the role. And that particular young person that I heard on a podcast recently was talking about the number of people and the importance of those people coming together and working together.
Yeah.
And that's really important, that panel members can see that you can engage and work with a range of different people. And
and I guess that's what that, like you said at the beginning, that's what that panel is. That's what they represent, those faces on that screen. That's what they're there to do. Right. Big question again. Are there any common myths or misunderstandings about the panel that you'd like to clear up? So foster carers going into these situations and they've got these, I don't know, assumptions of things that might be said or
I think the main one is probably about it's not an interview to trick you up. It is literally there to get the best out of you. And you're not going to be asked any complex questions that you were expecting. It's not like an interview where you haven't been prepared in advance. You're going to be asked about you, and you're the expert on you, so you'll know all the answers. So don't worry about that. Panel are literally, they're a little bit nosy, if I'm honest, and a little bit curious, because you don't have to attend on the day. It is best that you do.
Oh, attend in person?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. They can base their recommendation just on the report.
Yeah.
But we want you to be there.
Sure.
Because we want to see you come to life. The panel members have read about you. We want to see you in person. We want to see the full 3D version.
Yeah.
And panel members want that interaction with you. They want to, that's their bit that they get out of being a panel member. They want to see how much you enjoy being there. This is the penultimate bit of this is almost the end of your application to foster. Panel could be saying at the end of this, it has been really, really lovely to meet you. And we would like to tell you that we've looked at all the reports and considered all the strengths, and these are your strengths. And they'll go through all the skills and values that we said earlier. And they'll say, and we would like to unanimously recommend that you are approved as a foster carer.
And they would do that in that meeting, on that
meeting.
panel. Wow.
Yeah, at that meeting.
That's quite a moment, isn't it?
It absolutely is a moment. So that's why I'm saying there's a little bit of a vested interest in panel members seeing you there, because people get emotional.
100%.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal. And that's why we want you at the agency, and they will be really pleased for you, and the recommendation is given to you on the day. So
that reaction gives the panel, I should imagine, a great deal of satisfaction as well, and you get to see that person as well.
The fact that we need foster carers. And the more foster carers we can get through. And so it is fantastic to sit on a panel and have these people apply to be foster carers and get to the end of the process. And they're really emotional about it. It's like a real moment to be really proud of. My role as panel advisor is I have to say, this is a really positive recommendation. There's just one little bit more step, which is the agency decision maker. They look at everything, and then you'll get a call from the agency within 7 working days, and they'll say, the agency decision maker has agreed with the panel recommendation, and therefore you are formally offered an agreement as a foster carer. That's your final step, the very final formal letter and the formal bit of the process. But the panel recommendation is key. That has to happen.
So there must be an element of national guidance and
There
red
is.
tape and stuff that you guys have to deal with, I should imagine. But how do you recognise, I guess it's the same as anything with these kind of big organisations, like that everybody's application and journey into becoming a foster carer, I think it's safe to say everybody's journey is going to be slightly different.
It is.
How do you recognise that?
What's really, really important is that your assessing social worker who comes and does the visits with you and writes the report captures everything about you. So it's an open and honest. Some of those that are as old as me, I remember a programme called This Is Your Life.
I can't remember. That's before my time, Jill.
Oh, my word.
No, I can, unfortunately.
You can. And it's a bit like having a This Is Your Life. How many opportunities do you get in life for somebody to come down and be interested in your life story?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, your assessment report is your life story.
Yeah, amazing.
It's written down. And all your skills and qualities and all the things you went through who have shaped who you are as a person that mean that you would be suitable to be a foster carer all come out on the page. So you get this report, and that's a really key part of it. And like I say, panel members are panel members because they're very interested in people. We're very curious people as well, and we want to know about people. Everybody's story is unique. So, absolutely everybody's story is unique, and it's really fascinating. And to know that what brought each person to come on this journey and why they're here. It's really important that everybody's really open and honest about it. And if you can bring something into panel, a little story or an example of something that, yes, I can tell you. Well, one of the standard questions we ask is, what motivated you to foster and why now? And often people do have a little story like, I was doing, I was working with a child in a school, and they were fostered, and I met their foster family, and I thought, that's something I would really like to do, but the time wasn't quite right because, for whatever reason, but the time's right now. Those little things that make you unique, your story. Panel members are really interested in your story.
Yeah, so it's the unique elements of people's lives, which the national guidance, it's neither here nor there, is it really? It's kind of like you're just interested in that person, their journey, their inspiration.
Absolutely, yeah. All the report will have pulled out. There is, like you say, the sort of more boring bit. The essential bit, but boring bit is, can these people meet all these minimum standards? They're called national minimum standards. And that's all been evidenced in the report. But we want to know why. What is it? Let's hear from you.
So be yourself.
Allow you to tell us. We're excited to know.
Well, that leads us on to our final question, Jill, which I guess it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you really do have to put yourself in somebody's shoes, literally. And, becoming a foster carer is a big decision. It's a big process to go through. And then I guess this part of it, this sitting in front of the panel, it's nerve-wracking for even the most confident
absolutely.
person.
Yes. Absolutely.
So what advice would you give to someone if, for the first time, tomorrow's the day, for instance, they're going to lose sleep the night before, I should imagine.
Yeah.
What would be your advice? Like genuine bit of...
Definitely take the opportunity that the agency will give you to meet existing foster carers and ask them, how was it? How did you feel? And also, we will share with you, when you get sent an invite to attend panel, we send you out a guide. So read all the guide. It's a very friendly guide. You'll have our panel administrator will get in touch and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. On my panel, it's Beth. Hi, I'm Beth. Please see the link to your panel. Ask us any questions. So you've got a contact person there with panel. on the guide, it's got who your panel advisor is, and it'll say, have my face, and hi, I'm Gill, here's my contact details. If you've got any questions at all, or if you just want to say, I'm not sure about this, the best person to speak to first is your assessing social worker, because they are an experienced social worker as well. They've probably done lots and lots of Form F assessments, they're called. They've probably done lots and lots of those, and they're the person that you're really in connection with. Ask that person. There's other people at the agency as well. Just ask any questions at all that'll help you put your mind at ease. But panel is a friendly place, and it's really important to us that it's a positive experience for you. So that's what we're trying to do. Our faces you should see some nice smiley faces looking out at you from the screen, and we're all there willing you to enjoy the opportunity, enjoy your time on panel. You've done the hard work to get to this point, and panel will thank you for the work and the time that you've given to this. It's a big commitment. It's not underestimated, and thank you very much for putting yourself through this process. And panel are genuinely wanting you to be the best you.
Yeah, I think we should title this episode "Panel is a Friendly Place." They know us quite nicely. Gill, thank you for coming in today. We really appreciate it. I think you give some great advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to find out more, head online and search National Fostering Group and make this the year you foster.